my beautiful friends. It is an amazing day. Welcome back. We have a heck of a stream planned today. So much stuff dropped over the weekend. Many new filings, including one that's fresh out of the oven like 20 minutes ago. This puppy dropped. But I'll tell you this, the theme today is Trump's lawyers are not happy. It's going to use the P word, but mama doesn't like that. So we're going to go through this. We've got a bunch of stuff. Let me give you a preview on what we're getting into on the day before we get into it, because we've got a lot coming. But I want to start off with a big motion, a big filing from Trump on the January 6th case. You'll see that this is a 34-pager, and it's about the January 6th case. And in it, Trump is demanding, as we'll get into, an immediate dismissal. This case should be dismissed, and promptly, too. It's a good one, so we'll read through it. But it's based on immunity. And the many things that need to happen in this case in order for justice to be done appropriately, and the time for that has passed. They've done goofed bigly, and so the case has to go. There's nothing else they can do to salvage it. There have been many ongoing violations that are beyond repair, and so Trump's team is not happy about this. Now, the case is in such disrepair because of the immunity decision that came out from the Supreme Court that what we're also seeing is the illegitimate, fake, corrupt prosecutor who is stealing from the American people in order to prosecute his political enemies, taking from the DOJ's indefinite appropriations slush fund, even though a federal judge called Eileen Cannon said he's not even a real prosecutor and threw him out in Florida. But now Jack Smith is filing this. We're going to go through it. He wants to submit a motion that's 180 pages long. Look at this. Insane. 180 pages. They're not going to get a trial before the election, so the next best thing they can do is drop a big, fat, disgusting book report from Jack Smith's illegal criminal enterprise. You want to talk about election interference? It's right here. It's happening right here. And we're paying for it, so I'm not happy about it. Now, this is the one that's fresh out of the oven, which I'm excited to read, have not even looked at it yet. This got submitted today by Trump's defense team, and they're saying, hey, we don't want your 180-page dumb book report, okay? Jack, take that back and go take that back to your little arts and crafts room, okay? We don't want it here. This is a real court for real prosecutors. You're not a real boy. So they're going to respond here and say, no big fat immunity briefs there, Jack. Sorry, bucko. And we're excited to see what's inside that one. And then we have some updates on the second Trump assassin, because there were some new filings today. You see, this is the case involving Routh, assassin number 2. Southern District of Florida, where Trump was almost assassinated and executed. And there was some new filings, including this one, which is catching a lot of attention out there today, which is about keeping him in detention. And so the US DOJ, the government prosecutors, are submitting a pretrial memo to detain Ryan Routh, the second Trump assassin, because if he gets out of custody, maybe he'll commit some more crimes. And so we'll read through that. There's some good stuff in there, including some photos. You know, we love photo time. We got map time. We've got a photograph here. Ooh, color version today. We got close-up versions. Here's another shot of that. Ooh, and the letter. There it is. So that's what we're going to read through later today. And apparently there's some more in here about $150,000 in terms of a bounty that they want for someone who can complete the job. Gosh. So there's a whole plot underway. We'll see. We'll read through it. We'll see what's inside. And so we've got a bunch of good stuff to get to. And also, the Secret Service was out last week. We missed this, but the Secret Service was admitting that they're kind of a failure and that they failed at the Trump rally, which we know because someone's dead. Trump almost got shot in the head, or did get shot in the head. But Secret Service, there was also another story. Apparently some Secret Service agent shot himself somewhere. Hope he's okay and he's fine. It's probably a good time to give the Secret Service more money and more responsibilities, don't you think? That's what our Congress is doing. And so we've got some good stuff to get into, my friends. Very excited that you're here and with us. Now, before we get into any of this, we've got to talk about our new friends, Gundry MD, baby, because here's an interesting one. Would you believe me if I told you that inside your pantry right now is one of the healthiest foods on the planet? It's true. And it's not some weird superfood you've never heard of. Here's the spoiler alert. Here's this video. It is olive oil. My mom would be very happy to hear this. So you're probably used to cooking with it. There are countless other ways to use olive oil, make you look, feel younger. For example, olive oil is a natural way to help you achieve even a more youthful appearance. Now, besides helping you look younger on the outside, it's fantastic to use on the inside as well. According to Dr. Stephen Gundry, you see this guy right here. He's a famous cardiothoracic surgeon, a nutrition expert, a health advocate. You should get as much high-quality olive oil into your daily routine as possible, whether it's taking a shot of it, keeping a bottle of it in your bathroom, medicine cabinet, many ways to apply it. But you got to ask yourself, what kind of olive oil is best for your health? Well, any olive oil can give you some benefit, but if you're looking for the best results, it matters a lot which one you pick, and the oil industry is huge. The olive oil industry too. You can tell by the number of olive oil brands. You go to the grocery store, you see them all over the place, can't even tell what's what. You can bet they're not all made the same. Many brands even cut corners to increase their profit margins. It's not even olive oil at all. And when Dr. Gundry came to this realization, he was so appalled by this that it may only take a few tablespoons a week to see the powerful benefits of these olive oils. So the question is, how can you tell the difference between what could be a health booster and which one is not up to par? And so Gundry wants to answer that question. He's releasing his research, his findings, and this video has gone viral since it's been released. Many things that you can learn from it. So take a look, go watch it. GetOlive1.com/RG is how you're going to get this video. And it's linked in the description below. It's getolive1.com/RG, or just click the link down in the description below. People who've watched it love it, help to change their lives. And so check it out, getolive1.com/RG. Links down in the description below. We love olive oil here. It's good. And it's not like those other crap seed oils out there. All right. So check it out. Link in the description below. And shout out to Dr. Gundry. We appreciate him supporting our show, our work here. Thanks for supporting them and getting some of the best olive oil you've ever had. All right. Now, let's get into business on the day, because we've got some serious business to attend to, and there's some good stuff in the House. Donald Trump's defense team is not happy. They're demanding an immediate dismissal of the January 6th case. They've got this 34-pager that is fired up that we're about to read through. You see, this got submitted in the District of Columbia, the January 6th Judge Chutkan case that's being prosecuted by Jack Smith, who's not even a real prosecutor. Judge Eileen Cannon in Florida already said, "You're not a real boy, son, get out of here." And he is still trying to appeal that. We'll see if the Court of Appeals reverses. They probably will, but it will go up to the Supreme Court and we'll get some clarity on that. But he, in spite of being thrown out of another federal district for being illegal, is now, in this case, trying to prosecute Trump. And Trump's defense has had enough of it already. So they submitted this. They say, all right, listen, Judge Chutkan, all right, here we are, Trump's defense. This case should be dismissed, and promptly. That is the only just course of action that you can take that is consistent with what the Supreme Court told you to do, with the institution of the presidency, and it's also critically important that you consider the facts in this case. First of all, Jack Smith is relying on allegations that are immune, so there's no evidence. You have to protect the presidency. SCOTUS told you to do it, and the only evidence that Jack Smith is relying on doesn't even count in this case. So, Your Honor, Judge Chutkan, Your Honor, dismissal is required to protect the institution of the presidency and the upcoming election, as well as the constitutional rights of Trump and the American people. There are also, in addition to all of that, ongoing discovery violations in this case that implicate presidential immunity and other strong defenses. We've got Jack's office. They have failed to produce exculpatory evidence that would exonerate Trump. They're not giving him his own exculpatory evidence about the flaws of the prosecution's own team and the office's false allegations. We know that the prosecution did bad stuff, they're saying, and they're not giving us evidence that would exonerate our client, which they're required to under American law. Therefore, President Trump respectfully submits this omnibus reply, and an omnibus is like, it encompasses a bunch of different stuff in there. It's got some of that, some of this, some of this. It's a big one. Like a bunch of things are on a bus. And in support of the pending motions for an order about the size of the prosecution's team. Now, remember Jack Smith's defense here is Jack is saying, we don't have to give you any evidence. Our prosecution team is, it's like Jack, it's like me and my dog. There's like the two of us. There's no one even here. You want evidence from my dog? I don't have any. We say, no, it's not just you and your little cabal of DOJ highlighter girls. It's much bigger than that. It's also the CIA's involved. Oops, what did I smashed the keyboard with my gestures. It happens. It's everybody. It's the DOJ, FBI, Homeland Security, NSA, CISA's involved. Everybody's involved in this because you were all gathering evidence to prosecute Trump. So what's the size of the team? Also, there's a bunch of discovery that you haven't given us, so we're trying to compel you to give it to us. And also, we're responding to your other brief, Jack, too. So we're including a bunch of stuff here, Your Honor, and here's what it is. Now, they say that Jack's office, illegal office, conducted its initial and disputed discovery review in this case at a time when Jack Smith denied there was any immunity at all. So remember, Jack Smith is sitting here and he's saying, look, I already gave you all of the discovery. I gave you everything you need. It's all here. Shut up enough already. Okay, it's here. But at that time, Jack Smith had a perverted interpretation of the law. He said that the president is not immune at all. Now immunity comes into play, and so maybe there's other things now because you gave us stuff according to one set of rules and then those rules changed. Now, the Supreme Court recent decision established important parameters for substantive consideration of the immunity defense that Jack Smith could not have accounted for when he gave us the original files. And so Jack cannot meet their obligations here by just saying, well, we gave you a bunch of stuff, and so we probably got all that. Well, they say, first of all, that's not true. They didn't give us a bunch of anything other than useless stuff. And they insisted that their initial collection adequately covered all of the immunity paperwork that we needed. Now, in the absence of a new case file review based on a lawfully defined prosecution team, right? And so Jack is saying, no, it's like me and just 6 people. That's all. They say, no, it's not. It's you and this guy and this agency and this over here. So if Jack is only giving you discovery for this small bucket and the actual universe of things is this bucket, Jack Smith only gave you this little bit. And there's all this other stuff now that's from the NSA and the DOD and everybody else who is involved, Capitol Hill Police and so on. It's much bigger than just Jack's little team. So now Jack needs to go back here and look in this bucket for all of the other evidence. But they haven't done that. And so these concerns are also amplified. Why? Because Jack, he keeps misstating the law. He keeps mischaracterizing how discovery works. He's disregarding your local rules as well. So, Your Honor, Chutkin, these are serious problems which present unique risks to the effective functioning of the government, which barely functions at all. And so accordingly, Your Honor, President Trump respectfully submits that the court should order that Jack Smith actually do the searches that we've asked for. And also, we ask that you reconsider this scheduling order by rejecting their effort, Jack's lawless request to file a public defense of their defective indictment before they're even in compliance with their discovery obligations. So don't let them file anything else until they've given us evidence. Now, here's what we need to know, Judge. Jack's refusal to acknowledge our defenses shows what a piece of work he is. Now, the remanded proceedings that came back down from the Supreme Court that have landed on your desk, Judge, telling you to consider presidential immunity, is here. Now, in the opposition, Jack's office repeatedly mischaracterizes his discovery obligations. And so here's what should happen. The court should not permit any additional briefing, including Jack Smith's big 180-page book report, until these discovery disputes are resolved. The Supreme Court prescribed the resolution threshold legal questions prior to the sort of evidentiary submission that's being contemplated now. So in other words, the Supreme Court says you have to deal with immunity first before you get into the evidence. Why? Because you don't need to get into the evidence if the person is immune from the prosecution. Why would you go through all of that time and go through all of the boxes if you cannot use the boxes? Somebody brings in box after box and box of materials. And somebody says, maybe we should, are we even allowed to look in there? Or is the president immune for that stuff? Well, let's look through it all first and then we'll decide immunity, is what the liberal says. What the? Doesn't make any logical sense at all. But that's exactly what Judge Chutkin is doing here. Now, one such question is whether the immunity must be absolute. Now, while the Supreme Court concluded that Trump is entitled, the Supreme Court said this about Trump, Trump is entitled to, at a minimum, to a presumptive immunity from prosecution for all his official acts. Remember, we had the 3 buckets in the Supreme Court case. Very important. Absolute immunity applies for official presidential conduct, right? I'm sorry, for articulated. If it's in the Constitution that the president can do the thing, he's got absolute immunity to do the thing. Then there's another category, which are official acts. And they say, well, presumptive immunity applies for that. And then there's other things that are not official acts at all. And there's no even argument for them. And those would be not immune. So we got these 3 categories. And if it is an official act, and you say, hey, at least this is within the outer perimeter of what the president does, then you're entitled to at least a presumption of immunity. And Chutkan couldn't figure that one out when this landed on her desk. Neither could Jack Smith. Now, Trump will establish as a matter of law that there is presidential immunity for official acts. It must be absolute. And that presumptive immunity is not sufficient to achieve the purpose of the underlying doctrine. So it actually is absolute. So they're saying it's even further than what even SCOTUS said. And as you'll see, once we get into this, once we start going into the evidence, you're going to see. So this follows from the fact that criminally prosecuting a president for his official conduct undoubtedly poses a far greater threat of intrusion onto the executive branch than simply seeking evidence in his possession. And that the resulting danger from the prosecution is greater than the risks that led the Supreme Court to recognize absolute presidential immunity for civil damages. So Trump is entitled to at least present this argument with the Rule 12b motion to dismiss the case, presumably, before the office proceeds, which its unwarranted advocacy piece setting forth their biased views about this case, which is what Jack Smith's book report is going to be. Now, also, Chutkan, you should also consider this. A second threshold legal question before we can even move forward with this entire charade, which highlights another defect in Jack Smith's second indictment. And just to catch you up if you missed the first, so there's 2 indictments in the J6 case. The first one included all sorts of presidential conduct that's clearly presidential conduct. It says, oh, Trump called the DOD. Trump called the Department of Justice. Trump spoke with, like, the president's allowed to do that. Hello. So that's immune. So then Jack Smith went back. He's like, oh, crap. Yeah, this whole thing's going to go bye-bye unless I do something immediately. So he went back. He took out his big eraser and erased all the bad stuff out of the indictment, and then filed a second one. That's called the superseding indictment here. It's still a joke because it talks about Vice President Pence. We were reading it going, what? Arises from the central role. He says that Trump talking with Pence is illegal. You say, wait a minute. It's the vice president. They're in the same office. The Supreme Court already concluded that the office's allegations related to Pence, which are in the second indictment, they've already said it. It involves official conduct. They said, quote, Trump is at least presumptively immune from prosecution for that conduct. So then on this issue, the question then becomes whether the presumption of immunity is rebutted under the circumstances. So Trump has at least presumptive immunity. So can Jack Smith overcome that? Trump doesn't need to prove that he has immunity. He has immunity. And Jack Smith can overcome that, but he has to rebut that presumption. Now, Jack cannot meet that burden of doing that because the use of this evidence in a criminal prosecution, right, there's another test. The question that the Supreme Court also asked is if you use some of this evidence, will it intrude on the authority and the functions of the executive branch? So like there's another element to this. So there's certain stuff that is immune, and then there's other stuff that we say, well, we don't really know. Is that evidence immune or not? Well, let's ask how we're using the evidence. Because did Trump do it, or did someone else do it? Did some other party do it? Was this an administrative thing? The evidence now. Let's not talk about the person doing the thing. Let's talk about the status of the evidence. The status of the evidence here, will it pose a danger to the authority or the function of the executive branch? Trump's people say, yeah, obviously. So Trump is entitled to an opportunity to prevail on this issue and make a filing to dismiss, which is all appropriate here. And so these threshold issues, Your Honor, Judge Chutkan, are dispositive. They would resolve this case. If we answer one of these 2 questions affirmatively for President Trump, case goes bye-bye. It's dismissed. Because prosecutors may not even seek to charge a president by relying on his official acts, which they've done here, which is the conduct between Trump and Pence. And presidents cannot be indicted if they're immune. Now, because Jack Smith, illegal prosecutor, did just that, by relying on false and exaggerated allegations related to Pence, the superseding indictment, Jack's second attempt at this, is void ab initio. Null and void, gone from the beginning. So the entire superseding indictment is bad. It has to be dismissed. Everything that comes after that, after the fact, is gone. So the court may not further adjudicate such a prosecution. If the indictment goes away, you're done, Judge. The presidential immunity defense is intended to guard against the possibility of an extended proceeding alone, so that the president doesn't have to be beaten over the head by corrupt prosecutors like we have now. Thus, prolonging proceedings in this case without addressing these dispositive issues, especially through invasive factual probes of Trump's official acts, is itself a violation of the doctrine. This harms the institution of the presidency, which is what SCOTUS said you can't do. This is so due to the fact that the office of Jack is planning on filing in defense of their defective second indictment before Trump has even reviewed the discovery in this case. So he gets a second draft and he gets to defend the second draft before you even get to see the second round of discovery from the second draft. And the election is rapidly approaching. Now, Jack must give us this discovery and this exculpatory evidence. All documents about Trump's immunity are discoverable under the rules. We have entitlement to them. Now, because the scope of Jack's team is disputed, he says it's like 5 people. Trump says it's most of the government, because it is. And because Jack's office has independent affirmative obligations to search for that evidence, he can't just sit on his butt and say, well, we look for it. Go find it. It cannot be true that prior discovery efforts are adequate here. For example, among other requirements, this necessitates discovery about the core and the outer perimeter of the executive authority. And they give us some other cases here that we'll fast forward through that talk through the Iran-Contra situation and more. We also need to defend against the context in which the alleged conduct took place. So when it comes to Trump, Trump's core authority included important foreign relation responsibilities, for example, overseeing and intelligence gathering. Evidence related to this exercise of authority and the executive branch means he has a duty, exactly right, to protect the integrity of the election from foreign adversaries. Trump has a right to investigate this. He's the president. He has the duty to execute the laws. And sitting around watching a rigged election is a dereliction of duty. Just saying, well, I guess the media said it's fair. Okay. Now, Trump's alleged actions involved official acts, and they're subject to immunity. Thus, the presidential immunity defense supports pending discovery requests related to the 2016 election, ICA, 2020 ICA, source materials, other things that they talk about in the classified supplements that they're saying we need, and we can't see what it is. So they're looking for a ton of stuff. If there is any evidence of bias and hostility toward President Trump that is harbored by the prosecution team, we must be able to find it. They must give it to us. And if the court, Chutkin, if you address presumptive presidential immunity, which it should not, because that immunity must be absolute as stated above. In other words, Chutkin, you don't even have an ability to say it's presumptive based on what the Supreme Court articulated. Because if it's evidence that Jack Smith is seeking to use, that maybe is not exactly Trump's evidence that would be immune under presidential conduct, it's related to the intrusion on the executive branch, which you cannot do. If a prosecution is driven by improper bias and hostility to the executive branch, to Trump, at the person who alone composes an entire branch of government, the president is the executive branch, it would pose dangers and intrusion on the authorities and the functions of that branch. And so therefore, Jack Smith cannot overcome that presumption because he cannot do that. Therefore, Jack Smith's office must make these disclosures. If you're biased, you got to give us those materials. Now, Trump is also entitled to context disclosures because he has the extraordinary power to speak on behalf of his fellow citizens. And so there is no reason to believe that Jack Smith completed the discovery. It's still ongoing in the Blossomgame case. That case is going to continue to next month. So they have not given us the discovery we need, and they know it. Now, there's other rules that they're saying they need to follow to comply with disclosure. There's local rules as well. Now, this is an interesting one. A mens rea defense. We talk about the elements of crimes or the major components of crimes. There are usually elements to offenses. Like a DUI, for example, you are in actual physical control of a motor vehicle while under the influence of an intoxicating beverage to a BAC level of 0.08. Different elements. You're in a car, you're under the influence, BAC is over a certain threshold. Got it, right? All these elements. You check the boxes. Now, similarly here, there are two main components, which in a crime, you'll have a mens rea, which is a guilty mindset, and an actus reus, which is a guilty act. So do you have the intent to do something, and then you do the thing. So here for Trump, they're saying we've got a mens rea defense. We don't have a guilty mind in here at all. President Trump emphatically rejects the allegations by Jack's office that he acted with the scienter at any time and is entitled to discovery in support of this defense. And this is a weird word. I never know how to pronounce it, but it's meaning like a guilty motivation. Let's find the official definition here. This will be our word of the day. And let's see if we can get it. It's a legal term that refers, the intent to commit a wrongful act. It's a mental state that indicates that a person acted with awareness or illegality. Scienter is often a required element of liability in fraud cases and other things. Here, let's see if we can find we always like pronunciation. So get ready to turn to your neighbor and say this word when we get it here.
Scienter.
Scienter. Okay, can you hear that?
Scienter.
Okay, scienter. Turn to your neighbor and say the word.
Scienter.
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 Scienter. Okay, good. We got it. So scienter. It's kind of like a, it's specifically the fact of having been done knowingly. Some motive, some intention behind it. Scienter. Okay, there we go. So the appropriate scope of that discovery is much broader than the office has acknowledged. So Trump has never acted with scienter to do this. Now, although the focus of the court must now be on immunity and where motive is irrelevant, so we don't even care what's in Trump's mind, right? Did Trump intend, this is the big sticking point. Did Trump intend to steal steal an election that he knew he legitimately lost? No. But we don't need to get to that question. That wasn't in his brain. We don't need to get there because he's immune, because he was executing the laws of the country. He was the executive branch investigating the fraud that we all saw. President Trump, therefore, is entitled to discovery in support of his other defenses. Now, the appropriate scope of that discovery is much broader than Jack has acknowledged, which means they're in violation of their discovery. In another case, it worked in our favor. And like this case, Jack is trying to restrict discovery based on a narrow construction of their indictment. But these other cases support our claim much more than they support Jack's claims. Now, Jack also says, and they ignore Trump's valid defense theories about intent, right? Trump didn't have any intent. There was no scienter to do any of this stuff. Saying this is a viable theory, but it is irrelevant to the scope of the discovery obligations that they believe that Trump's third-party guilt argument contravenes Rule 403, which is the balancing test rule. If something is more prejudicial than it is probative, we keep it out. And so in order for something to be discoverable, documents and information need not conclusively establish third-party guilt. So they're saying there's other evidence that they have that they're entitled to in order to make this claim. For the reasons stated in the classified supplement, it's not speculative nor far-fetched for Trump to demand evidence that Trump did not create an intense national atmosphere of mistrust, right? They put this in their indictment and they say, you say Trump created an intense national atmosphere of mistrust? Well, we need all the documents that show the opposite of that. And so we need to find that evidence and review it. Now, the prosecution motion continued, saying that they don't need to define the size of their team. And they say that's a big problem because if we don't know the size of their team, then we can't get information from the team. Step one is literally defining the scope of the team. To date, the office has used a narrow definition of the prosecution team so that they don't have to give us information. This is problematic because we're talking about immunity. And here we see they want evidence of a lot more agencies, the DOJ, ODNI, CIA, DOD, and more. Now, agency contributions to Jack's office are also highly relevant. If other people are contributing to Jack, we want to know what they're contributing. And we also reject this arbitrary line between the DOJ and the FBI, right? Jack is saying, in other words, that Jack Smith's team is just this little circle right here. But really, it's just, Jack Smith and like his couple people at the DOJ. Really, it's a bunch of other people at the DOJ. And really, the DOJ was also communicating with the FBI to do their investigation. And so the FBI has some stuff here, and also the CIA is involved over here, and the NSA is involved over here. They're all providing info to these prosecutors. So they say they want all of them. Now, in this other case, they said prosecutors have a duty to search for this stuff, and they have not done that. Jack's office just ignores all of this. They say we have no discovery obligations with respect to any of these files. That's ridiculous. In fact, they said something like this. Trump conceded he communicated with NARA, and there's overlapping natures between all of these different prosecutions. Jack's office also draws a false distinction based on illusory bureaucratic boundaries between prosecution team members who were part of the FBI's Washington field office and those who may have charged other capital breach cases, right? So they're just trying to decipher all of them and make them so that they're not all on Jack's team. But that's wrong. The office cannot discharge their discovery obligations to Trump by just calling other people, other individual agents who weren't focused on the allegations. They're using their evidence, so they're part of the team. Like, well, they're old, like they're not looking at it anymore. Well, they did, so they're part of the team. And you're using their evidence. They also invoke this concept of easy access, saying that easy access means Trump got enough information, and so the volume, I guess, is too big. Under Poindexter, the office should not be able to selectively refuse materials that are in connection to their discovery obligations. And so we want all of this material, is basically what the rest of this is saying. The prosecution must search for this stuff. They have to go find it. The court should compel them to go get it if they're not going to do it. And Jack is saying, well, we'll go find the stuff that's material. You don't need the stuff that is immaterial. And they say, well, we'll tell you what material means. It's not just you think you can tell us what we need or not. So go get it. And we need stuff about Mike Pence too, because Mike Pence is involved in this. There are also inconsistent assertions by government actors. Now, the flippant response by Jack's office to Trump's demand for statements are inconsistent with the theory of this case. They're also looking for evidence of foreign influence. This is interesting. So to resist Trump's demands for discovery about foreign influence, Jack's office adopts an artificial distinction between influence and interference. Trump wants anything of interference or influence, they say. And so they can withhold stuff because it was only influence, but it wasn't interference, right? Now, as explained in a classified supplement, which we'd love to get our hands on, a witness who is eminently qualified to speak on the subject was not as sanguine as the special counsel's office, Jack's office, about the influence or interference line drawing exercise. The indictment does not rely on this either and just talks about election fraud. So we're not fighting between influence and interference. If it's fraud, it's fraud. So we need to get access to this material. There's also a whistleblower and this guy, Dr. Zwoloff's congressional submission, which are all topics for the office to seek. And there's also the SolarWinds hack. Remember that? SolarWinds hack is not completely unrelated to the evidence. The position of Jack's office is largely based on assessments made when the events were unfolding and the hack was not understood. That's why we need disclosures. The uncertainty about the impact of the hack means that Trump could have had some good faith doubts about the accuracy of the judgments on the election, right? There's many other reasons why the election could have been bad. Section F, Jack's office also opposes Trump's demands for disclosures about the security requests and the timing of the National Guard deployment. Why would Jack not want to give him that? Trump's defense is, I did order the National Guard to be there. We know that. Now, security-related disclosures are discoverable, irrespective of Trump's knowledge, because the materials provide context. The responsive evidence also mitigates the office's made-up theory of culpability, demonstrating that Trump did not want this to happen. Trump actually exercised delegated power to people to secure the Capitol. But no, they don't want you to know that because there's a crusade here to blame Trump. Jack's office also contends that their decision to produce what they view as a substantial volume of unclassified materials meets their obligations. But there's no indication that they attempted to review any materials beyond what they selectively collected from General Milley. And now there's another report, I think it's from a House representative, that says that even Milley was acknowledging that Trump was requesting some security there on J6. Now, Jack's office also says that Trump and his demand for information about FISA abuses is barred because it's too prejudicial. But the intelligence community relies on this stuff all the time, so why can't we? Now, the court should not tolerate, Chutkin, Jack Smith's deflections here, saying Trump faces severe information deficits, and so don't let Jack Smith continue to bury this. Trump has identified strong indications that members of the prosecution team are motivated by improper bias and political motivations. A more recent report from the IG, which is a conceded part of the prosecution team here, provides further cause for concern about this. There's hostility against Trump, including from an attorney who's a supervisor at the DC U.S. Attorney's Office and who now works for the special counsel. Now, apart from the since resolved selective prosecution in other cases, there is not a viable approach to discovery in this case. And here's another disclosure that would be nice. One straightforward reply to President Trump's demand for disclosures relating to government agents at the Capitol would be to explain, if true, that there are no responsive materials. That's too easy. Are there any federal agents at the Capitol? Answer, no. No. There weren't. But Jack's office did not do that. Why not? Another way to address this demand would be to try to invoke some form of informant's privilege and obtain a protective order. But he hasn't done that either. The office does not take that approach either. Instead, they rely on the inopposite admissibility principles and reveal their politically motivated colors by saying that Trump was like a bank robber. All to support their preferred narrative. Now, with respect to the J6 committee, which was illegally constituted under H.R. 503 and in several other places, Jack's office also resists Trump's discovery demand because it's cumulative. You already have it. The cases say we don't believe that. The court should reject this ploy. It's not cumulative. We don't already have it. Make them go get it. The special counsel's office also denigrates Trump and his reliance on a newspaper article showing that the DC attorney's office was working with the DOJ, the FBI, and more. But well-sourced media coverage has disclosed numerous details of this. And if this reporting is inaccurate, they can just say that. Just say it's not accurate. Don't say you can't use a newspaper article. Just say what's in the article is not accurate. But they cannot do it because their leaks are true. And so, Chutkin, in this massive motion from Trump, for the foregoing reasons and those in the opening papers and in the classified supplements, which we can't see here, you should tell us who the prosecution team is, give us the evidence, and reconsider and pause the schedule until they ultimately give us the materials. Really what they want is this case to be dismissed. Signed by the very amazing attorneys, John Lauro, Gregory Singer, Todd Blanche, Emil Bove, counsel for President Trump, in their demand for action on this case, saying the case must be dismissed, but it's a big omnibus motion. So you can see they're asking for a bunch of stuff. One, the biggest thing is discovery. They want access to certain materials that they do not have. And Jack Smith, I'm sure, will respond to this, and we'll wait for Judge Chutkan to rule on it. But a nice motion. I think that Trump and his defense team are on the attack at this moment. It feels like Chutkan and Jack Smith are scrambling to try to salvage this, which is why Jack Smith's final attempt, since the trial is not going to be happening before the election, is to submit his 180-page book report, which we're going to read next. Because it's coming soon. Now, that motion has not been submitted. We're not reading 180 pages. I should have been clear on that. But we do have this. The illegitimate prosecutor, Jack Smith, is now going to be submitting a monstrous, disgusting filing that is going to be about 180 pages in length. And it's going to smear Trump in the days before and months before the election. You see, here is what Jack Smith wants to do. Now, Trump's defense has responded to this and saying, no, we oppose it, and we'll read through both filings here now. But this is what the illegitimate prosecutor, Jack Smith, said starting off. And he dropped this one on 9/21, landed on Chutkan's desk, and he surprised everybody by saying, we're going to have a big 180-pager coming soon. Here's how they start from Jack's office. They say, all right, look, in the Supreme Court case, they said that the Supreme Court said that we have to do a fact-bound immunity analysis. They wrote, necessarily fact-bound immunity analysis. They gave us some clips from the excerpts from the decision, determining whose characterization may be correct and with respect to which conduct requires a close analysis, right? So close analysis. And therefore, fact-specific. Any of this could be relevant. So they say the Supreme Court remanded to you, Chutkan, to do that, to determine in the first instance, with the benefit of the briefing we lack, whether the conduct was official or unofficial. So they're saying, Chutkan, you can choose. It's going to be your decision. So to fulfill the Supreme Court's remand, to do what the Supreme Court told us to do, in a status hearing on September 5th, we propose filing an opening brief, which would be a comprehensive discussion and a description of both pled and unpled facts, so that all parties in the court know the issues and the court needs to consider, so that the Supreme Court told us to do. Now, the government also indicated that the brief would include a substantial number of exhibits. So they're actually just going to present the evidence because they can't get a trial out before the election. They're just going to file it. In a scheduling order entered the same date, the court ordered the government to file an opening brief by September 26th. That's going to be this week on Thursday. Now, the court has been directed to conduct a detailed, fact-bound, and thorough analysis. Because the court will make determinations in the first instance that will be subject to exacting appellate review, it's essential that the court ensure the record in support of its determinations is complete. So Jack is kind of throwing a temper tantrum here, and it's pretty clever, right? They're just cherry picking from the Supreme Court what they can so that they can make a big smear job. Hey, the Supreme Court said we have to have facts, so we better just give them all the facts they want. How many pages can we have, Chutkan? She's like, yeah, I guess if they want facts, we'll give them the facts. The government believes that a comprehensive brief by the government will be of great assistance to you, Judge, in creating a robust record. And the government would thus exceed the typical limit for a single motion. The opening motions and oppositions are 45 pages, and 25 pages are for replies. But the government already estimates that they're going to need a lot more than 45 pages, obviously. 180 pages is what is going to suffice. It's like a book. The government estimates that roughly half of its motion will consist of detailed factual proffers and extensive footnote citations to an exhibit increase the motion size by more than 30 pages. So the footnotes. It's just insane. The government conferred with the defense. The defense obviously opposes the motion. They request a deadline on September 24th. They just filed their opposition. We'll read it now. For the court's awareness, the opening brief and its exhibits contain a substantial amount of sensitive material, as defined in the protective order. And so, consistent with the order, the government is going to file a motion for leave under seal that attaches the unredacted copy, and then file the redacted copy on the public docket. Because of the extensive and time-consuming logistics, we respect a decision soon. Signed by Thomas Wyndham, the motion, one of the more intelligent people on the team. Molly's the highlighter gal. She just sits there and highlights things and puts sticky notes on stuff. I'm like, yeah, good job, Molly. Doing great. So they submit that. It's disgusting. It's 180 pages. You can present that evidence at trial if you want to, so it can be cross-examined, but there's a reason we don't see trials happen in public filings like this. It's like, did we see all of this happen with Hunter Biden right before his trial started? No. Did we see this happen with Ghislaine Maxwell before her trial started? No. Why is it against Trump? Well, it's because they're not going to get the trial done before the election. It is just a smear job by the courts, and they want 180 pages to do it. So then Trump's people have come out and they've responded. Trump's people say, no. President Trump is here, and he now opposes Jack Smith's motion for an oversized opening immunity brief, saying that Trump here now respectfully submits this opposition to Jack's 180-page, quote, opening immunity brief. See those quotation marks? That's the defense attorneys mocking them. And they should be mocked. Now, the motion is a new development illustrating the unprecedented and irregular nature of Jack's approach once this case came back down from the Supreme Court, as they are now seeking permission to file a document that would quadruple the standard page limits in this court. Jack cites no case law in which that relief was ever granted, just as they cited no authority for their last request, which is to file a freestanding brief related to presidential immunity that's not even responsive to our motion, so he just files whatever he wants. Now, Jack's proposed approach is fundamentally unfair, Your Honor, as the office would attempt to set a closed record for addressing unfiled defense motions by crediting their own untested assessments of purported evidence. They're going to say these are the facts that happened. They're not even responding to our discovery motions, so we can ask, is this true or not? Yeah, you do interviews, you do investigations. What does this evidence say? Let me investigate that. Your cops, I need to talk to him, get him on the phone, and schedule interviews, all this stuff. So they're just going to drop all this evidence like flat on the public docket for everybody to see when Trump hasn't even gotten the discovery they need? Denying Trump an opportunity to confront their witnesses, which is part of the Constitution. It's called the Confrontation Clause. And we want that to happen at trial so you can cross-examine them. You don't have trials in public filings before the trial starts. And preventing the defense from even getting the evidence. The hypocrisy of this approach is demonstrated by Jack's earlier arguments, in this case and in Florida where he got thrown out, that using discovery materials in public filings could taint the jury pool and bias potential witnesses. Their requests are also inconsistent with the federal rules of criminal procedure, and the court should reject them until the threshold legal questions that have already been identified by the Supreme Court are addressed, that's immunity, and discovery is complete. Now, today, Jack's office informed President Trump that they wish to file a surreply relating to Trump's pending discovery motions, which is an extra response, in other words. Well, maybe they should focus on that document, they say. Ooh, and they're getting snippy here. And on complying with their obligations rather than pushing to file their support. They're filing to support their politically motivated agenda. So you see, they're saying, oh, they just send us an email today. Like, hi, can we have permission to file this other motion? They're like, yeah, you can file that one. Maybe you should focus on that one, not this other book report of yours. Now, the opening immunity brief, again, in quotes, your 180-page opening immunity brief that's a book, as described in the motion, would be an improper special counsel report masked as a superfluous filing seeking advisory opinions in a criminal case. Yeah, so you can't call it an opening immunity brief, okay? You're basically like flouting your homework in front of the teacher to say, do you like this? Is this good enough for you? Because I'm going to be presenting soon. Can you just take a nice look at this? So it's an unnecessary, superfluous filing seeking advisory opinion, seeking the judge to like give you hints, which is illegal, about how the case is going. Should I file this motion to dismiss or not? Judge, what do you think? Can you tell me, should I do this or not? How are you going to rule on it? The document would also violate the presidential immunity doctrine, which says he's immune from much of that evidence. It would taint the integrity of these proceedings completely, increase the First Amendment harm resulting from the gag order, and violate the Justice Manual. All they don't care about is perfect. It's like exactly what they want. They're like, yeah. Chutkin's reading this. She's like, that's great. I can't wait to do every one of these things. It's going to be a beautiful morning. Accordingly, for the reasons set forth, the court should deny the motion and grant Trump's request to reconsider the current schedule. So here's how they say this is the right decision. Now, the court does not need 180 pages of, quote, great assistance, whatever that is. This is going to be great assistance for you, Judge, whatever that is, from Jack's office to develop the record necessary to address Trump's immunity defense. Calling the document fact-bound does not make it so. Now, the office aims to proffer their untested and biased views to the court and the public as if they're conclusive, like this is a finding of fact. And that's how this is going to be treated, by the way. This will be treated like a Mueller report or like a Durham report or like a special counsel report. They'll call it that, actually. They'll call it a special counsel report. Chutkin will allow it. And then this, of course, will end up all over the news, which is the whole point, because they're going to try Trump in the court of public opinion if they can't try him in the court of law, which they've been doing for the last many years. But they'll call it the special counsel report. People will think it's official. People won't recognize that it is part of Jack Smith's fake prosecution. But this is contrary to the law, to the procedure, and to the custom. Now, courts frequently develop factual records to resolve legal questions in criminal cases by focusing on their actual motions and narrowly addressing disputed issues. There's no basis for abandoning those procedures in this case. Like you file a motion to dismiss the case because of officer misconduct, and you have an evidentiary hearing on this misconduct, and stuff's called, and then it's settled, and maybe the case is dismissed or whatever, and it's gone, it's disposed of. But it's not the full trial. You're just talking about that one little thing in the case. You don't just dump everything out there and just say, hey, look at it. So just the opposite. Adherence to procedure and protocol is necessary to ensure fairness and justice. You don't just get to say 180 pages because whatever. Now, if the motion is granted, Trump wants 180 pages himself, and he wants to file a surreply too. Now, allowing Jack's office to litter the docket with an unnecessary tome of would be inconsistent with the fact that there are dispositive threshold legal questions identified in the Supreme Court case that need to be resolved first. We have to talk about immunity before we can get to these other issues. Here are some of the problems. Immunity is absolute. Immunity also attaches to any allegations about Pence. There are serious questions about whether Merrick Garland has even appointed a lawful special counsel. And that's from Judge Thomas's concurrence, right? Judge Thomas is also asking, is Jack Smith a real boy? Answer, no, he's not. In effect, the office would be seeking an advisory opinion on unraised legal issues that this court may never reach, and it's inconsistent with the rules. And so Jack's motion, his opening brief, 180 pages, again in quotes, is particularly improper. And the government prosecutors, as they're reading this, like they know what that means. An opening immunity brief. They're going, you son of a... But they're like, well, it is an opening immunity brief. So what if it's 180 pages? Says Molly. She's highlighting frivolously, feverishly, and frivolously. President Trump has a due process right to the prompt production of evidence, and the office is currently violating the requirements under the rules. We need the evidence before we can move forward. And they have not given it to us currently. There are rules that are safeguards. Jack is violating those safeguards. There was no other explanation for his insistence on moving forward with this book report, this opening immunity brief, before live discovery disputes are even addressed. There's going to be materials in there that we don't even have in our discovery. Given these disputes, it's pretty troubling, they say, to see Jack Smith try to chart such an irregular course in this case. Now, the path that Jack Smith is trying to pursue would be an independent violation of presidential immunity on top of that. A 180-page filing would embody the type of improper extended proceeding that the Supreme Court has already forbidden. The court may not adjudicate superfluous presidential immunity issues, including by allowing the office to file this monstrosity if President Trump says and can establish there is immunity. The office wants so desperately to bar President Trump from the opportunity to make that showing so that they can improperly air their biased list of grievances. That's all they want. They're out of options. This filing would also impact witnesses. It would taint the jury pool. Jack Smith is ignoring the penalties, the repercussions of this. They say, well, we could have a protective order. They say that Trump has no right to release this discovery material. But now the office wants to make their all of this public, right? So they say to Trump, you can't give any of this information out, but we can. In 180 pages, we'll just dump it all out onto the docket. Previously, they said it would be improper to disseminate evidence of this out there. You can't get this out, Trump. Now they're going to file 180 pages. They're going to have an appendix. It's going to pollute the jury pool. In Florida, based on similar arguments, they sought to maintain a bunch of this under seal too. When the office disagreed in Florida with factual arguments by Trump, they sought a gag order on Trump there. Now, oh, look, we said the same thing here. The requested 180-page brief would be tantamount to a premature and improper special counsel report, which is exactly how they're going to call it. Because they say he's a special counsel, even though he's not. The report would be premature because we have not reached the conclusion of the special counsel's work, except in Florida, where a federal court, Judge Eileen Cannon, shout out, concluded that Jack Smith lacks authority to conduct any proceedings at all because he's not a real boy, as President Trump will demonstrate in this case pursuant to another motion we're going to file. The report from Jack would be improper because it's going to present legal conclusions contrary to the presumption of innocence and present privacy concerns for potential witnesses and uncharged parties. This is a long recognized problem with these documents. During hearings that led to the expiration of the Independent Counsel Act, Janet Reno explained that the report requirement cuts against many of the basic traditions and practices of American law. We have an adversarial system. We value privacy. We presume innocence. We have the right to confront our accusers. We contest evidence in a court of law, cross-examinations in due process. We don't drop big 180-page criminal book report dossiers and call it a trial. That's what they want in this country. That's what they want the future of justice to be. You're watching it be constructed right now. If they had their way, this would be good enough. Just submit the report. Call it a day. Jack Smith's totally honorable. The DOJ released accompanying 1999 regulations that any reports will be confidential because it's just a big smear job. And then they got rid of all of that entirely. In this case, including through the motion, Jack's office is seeking to release voluminous conclusions to the public without allowing Trump to confront their witnesses or to present his own evidence. They want to release this before 2024. Now, the strategy reflected by the motion would increase the irreparable harm by the gag order in this case. Chutkan's already gagged him. False public allegations by Jack's office presented through a document has no basis in a traditional justice process. It's going to undoubtedly enter the dialogue around the election. We're all going to be talking about it, obviously. The gag order prevents Trump from explaining in detail why Jack is a biased and selective liar and why he's inaccurate. Trump can't even respond to this because Chutkan has already gagged him. Incredible. While the D.C. Circuit Court modified and addressed the gag order previously, the court was careful to note that the general election is almost a year away and will long post-date the trial in this case. Circumstances have changed, haven't they, Judge Chutkan? Trump is the leading candidate, and the election is just weeks away. The office cannot be permitted to issue a massive and misleading public statement that is not responsive to a defense motion at all. Like, Trump's not filing anything. Motion to dismiss. He has filed a bunch of things, but Jack wants this as his opening brief and risks adverse impacts to the integrity of these proceedings while simultaneously insisting on an unconstitutional prior restraint on Trump's ability to respond to their inaccurate assertions while he's campaigning. The huge public filing that his opening brief portends would also violate the Justice Manual. The Justice Manual says actions that may have an impact on an election shouldn't be taken. Federal prosecutors and agents may never select the timing of any action to affect an election. Jack Smith is doing it literally to impact the election. Prior to this case, the DOJ followed an unwritten 60-day rule, summarized as follows. We're less than 60 days out, my friends. Comey said, we avoid taking any action in the run-up to an election if we can avoid it. Loretta Lynch said, in general, the practice has been not to take actions that might have an impact on an election. See that? Loretta Lynch said it. Even if it's not an election case or something like that. Don't file big, disgusting smear job motions that are not even legitimate from a legitimate prosecutor right in the run-up to the election. Oh, how times have changed. Former Attorney General Sally Yates said to me, if it were 90 days off and you think it has a significant chance of impacting an election, unless there's a reason you need to take that action, you don't do it. Wonder what Merrick Garland's going to say on this one. We all know. The whole point of this case is to impact the election. It's literal election interference. It's been happening for years. Departures from these practices should never be countenanced. And there's some good words in this filing because they risk allowing prosecutors to impact national elections. But the situation is even worse where here, the special counsel's office is seeking to do so by turning criminal procedure on its head in order to file a 180-page hit piece against Trump on the eve of the election. And so for all of these reasons, the court should deny the motion and reconsider the scheduling order. Reject Jack Smith's lawless 180-page special counsel report in defense of their defective superseding indictment before they're even in compliance with their discovery obligations. And I don't know who wrote this one, but there were some nice words in there. Countenance, man. Another one. Another good word. We could have multiple words, multiple vocab words of the day today. There's some good stuff in there. But another good motion. And it's just so transparent on its face. You can see what they're doing. 180-page opening immunity brief. So that Jake Tapper and Rachel Maddow and everybody can say, oh my gosh, can you believe what Trump did? And Jack Smith's office was never intended to go and investigate something and like return a report like an independent OIG or something, which they would frame it as. He's just an unbiased, nonpartisan prosecutor. No, he's not even legitimate. Wasn't even appointed by the president. It was never confirmed by the Senate. David Weiss was both of those things. Robert Hur was both of those things. So we know that they can do that, but they don't do that. So instead, since they're losing this case so badly, they just want to drop their giant report. I think Chutkan's going to allow it. I think she'll allow it because what else do they have? She'll drop it. They'll have to dismiss the case at some point, but they need a hit before the election happens. The Alvin Bragg case is going bye-bye because that got postponed until after the election. Florida case already been dismissed. Fannie's case is going to be held on appeal until after the election. This is it. And even though multiple other attorneys general have declined to act like psycho lunatics, Merrick Garland is not amongst them, and he is doing the opposite. So we are going to be here to continue to cover this case, my friends. It is going to get spicy. I'm expecting that we will have a big opening brief because the judge has already allowed it. The question is it going to be 180 pages? We'll see. But we'll be here to cover it, my friends. Thank you for subscribing wherever it is you're watching this video. Thanks for liking this channel. Thanks for liking this video. Thanks for inviting someone you know or love to come over here and check out our channel. And we'll look forward to seeing you back here on the next one. But we're not done yet here. We've got another story to talk about. And this is, of course, an interesting one because it is the Trump assassin. The second Trump assassin, Ryan Routh, is in federal custody. The government wants to keep him there. You see, they submitted this. It is the written factual proffer in support of keeping the second assassin in custody, filed in the Southern District of Florida, where Trump was almost shot on a golf club course. You can see they're going to walk us through this. There's some nice images inside of this detention memo. But let's start at the top and see what else they've got for us. So they tell us, all right, dear judge, now, Ryan Routh's in custody. And so to assist the court with the detention hearing, the United States submits the following factual proffer, telling you we think that we have enough evidence to say all of this is true. Now, the below paragraphs describe the information that the FBI has obtained through law enforcement, witness interviews, search warrants, other legal processes, forensic examinations, testing, other investigative methods that have led us here. But because the facts are offered for the limited purpose of supporting the pretrial detention, they're not going to be everything. It's not going to be all the things that we know because this is an ongoing investigation, but it's enough here that you'll find it convincing enough to keep this guy in custody. They tell us, on September 15th, former President Trump was golfing West Palm Beach at Trump International. Beautiful, beautiful location, I'm sure. Now, as the former president advanced through the course, a Secret Service agent, now called the agent, who was part of the overall protective detail, moved ahead of him in a golf cart and conducted a security sweep to identify any potential threats and to ensure the safety and the security of the former president along the route. Now, the perimeter of Trump International is surrounded by a chain link fence, and the southeast corner of the course is screened by trees and brush. The sixth hole on the course is near the southeast corner, as shown here on the map, and you see that right here. Now, I also wanted to point out, I do believe that maybe it's this road, or maybe it's the other road further up, but there's a road here. It might be this road, or it might be the road further north, one road further north, but it, like, if the club also, yeah, I think the club also comes up here. Maybe it's this road, but this road I think is called Gun Club Road, which is a weird simulation thing. So in other words, one of the roads that is on the perimeter of the Trump golf course is called Gun Club Road, which is weird because we made a joke about him maybe looking for the gun club and getting confused. It was not really a funny joke, but that's reality. Anyways, weird reality. So that's what's happening. So the sixth hole is right here. You see, it looks like there's chain link fencing around the perimeter, and then there's shrubs and trees doing the same. Now, while former President Trump was on the fifth hole, which would be right here. So here's the fifth tee box. He's hitting over here, hole in one. Nice shot, Mr. President, as he's rounding that direction. The agent cleared the area along the sixth hole. Specifically, the agent rode in a golf cart along the chain link fence that separated the sixth hole from Congress Avenue and Summit Boulevard. Okay, so that must be Summit Boulevard. The next road up must be Gun Club. So they're riding here, kind of riding around this perimeter. Got it. Now, at approximately 1:30 p.m., the agent spotted the partially obscured face of a man in the brush alongside the fence line. The man was later identified as Ryan Routh. The position was directly in line with the sixth hole. The agent then observed a long black object protruding through the fence and realized the object was the barrel of a rifle aimed directly at him. The agent jumped off the golf cart, drew his weapon, and began backing away. The agent saw the rifle barrel move, and the agent fired at Routh. Now, the agent took cover behind a tree, reloaded his weapon, then looked up and saw that Routh was gone. The agent called out over his radio, "Shots fired!" by the agent, and there was a subject with a rifle. The position Routh occupied when the agent first noticed him was directly in line with the sixth hole. Former President Trump was playing the fifth hole when the agent fired at Routh. Secret Service agents immediately removed Trump from the area upon hearing the shots fired at the sixth hole. Now, the FBI agents searched the area where Routh had been hiding in the tree line. They located an SKS semi-automatic 7.62 caliber rifle with a scope attached and an extended magazine. The rifle was loaded with a total of 11 rounds and had a round in the chamber. Serial number on the rifle was obliterated and unreadable. The agents also found a digital camera, a backpack, and a reusable shopping bag hanging from the chain link fence, as shown in the photo below. Yeah, and it does look like a reusable shopping bag. Now, some people were asking if there were armor plates in here, and that maybe that's what he was trying to do. This is the GoPro recording the shooting. These might be armored plates, was the thesis, and then he's just poking the gun through it. Now, I got to tell you, that's a pretty good sight from that Secret Service person. Like, those are nice shrubs there. If you're on the other side of that chain link fence and you're looking in, I mean, unless you're like driving by like right here, right? Like maybe that's the road right there. But if you're further down, if you're way further down here, I mean, if you're close, you can see it, no doubt. But I'm thinking of a golf course looking way down, although this is pretty dark and this would stand out. But I mean, he's covered. The coverage is not bad from that side. It's not like a wide open field, in other words. We have something right there. Now, the backpack and the shopping bag both contain plates. There we go. Subsequent preliminary ballistics testing showed the plates were capable of stopping small arms fire. So there it was, exactly right, as people were speculating. The photograph below shows the obliterated serial number. And that's the close-up. So it looks like it's right here. Use like a Makita or something, maybe just grind that down. Now, shortly after the Secret Service agent fired at Routh, a civilian driving in the area observed Routh running across Summit Boulevard toward a black Nissan Xterra, bearing a Florida license parked nearby. The witness and Routh made eye contact. The witness observed Routh get into the vehicle and flee at a high rate of speed. And Trump has been celebrating this witness at the rallies. He's like, who does that? What kind of a person takes a photo and like saves everything? He's like, so shout out to that person. The witness took photographs of the Nissan Xterra, wrote down all but the last digit of the license plate number. The witness immediately reported these observations to law enforcement. So without this witness, maybe this dude's gone. Officers from the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office and Martin County Sheriff's Office located the Nissan Xterra, traveled northbound I-95. At 2:15, they initiated a motor stop. Routh was the driver, sole occupant of the vehicle. During the stop, law enforcement transported the witness to the scene, and the witness positively identified Routh as the same individual the witness had previously seen entering the Xterra after fleeing from Trump International. So this is also interesting, okay? So there's a witness who's not law enforcement that places him there. She's really the only person that places him there. Let's see if the Secret Service agent can also identify him by face. Law enforcement discovered that the license plate on Nissan Xterra was not registered to the Nissan Xterra, so he swapped the plates. During a search of the Nissan, FBI agents found 2 additional license plates. They also found 6 cell phones. One of the cell phones contained a Google search of how to travel from Palm Beach to Mexico. It's on his MapQuest still. The agents also found 12 pairs of gloves, a Hawaii's driver's license in the defendant's names, a passport in the defendant's name, and documents including the following dates. And my understanding was this guy was basically broke, so I don't know how he afforded all this, but we'll see if we get there. There was also a handwritten list of dates in August, September, October 2024 in venues where Trump had appeared or was expected to be present. There was a notebook with dozens of pages filled with names and phone numbers pertaining to Ukraine. Wonder if Zelensky's cell phone's in there. Discussions on how to join combat on behalf of Ukraine. It's in there. And notes criticizing the governments of China and Russia. The FBI also got cell site records for 2 of the cell phones found in the Nissan. The 2 cell phones are serviced by different carriers that utilize different cell towers. The FBI analysis shows the following. Routh traveled from Greensboro, North Carolina to West Palm Beach, Florida. On multiple days and times from August 18th to September 15th, Routh's cell phones accessed cell towers located near Trump International and the former president's residence at Mar-a-Lago. So he was there for just under a month. The FBI also examined the rifle that was recovered from Trump International and found a latent fingerprint on a piece of tape attached to the rifle. What? The FBI examined the rifle that was recovered, and they found a latent fingerprint on a piece of tape that was attached to the rifle. The latent print matches Routh. Why isn't it on the rifle? It's not like, I don't think what they're saying is they got the fingerprint and took the tape and then got the fingerprint like you see in the CSI shows. Like I don't think that's what they're saying here. they're saying that there's a piece of tape and then his thumbprint is on the tape that's also on the rifle. That's really weird, because that could mean that you never actually touch the rifle, right? You only touch the tape. It's the weirdest thing. Found a latent fingerprint on a piece of tape attached to the rifle. Unless somebody tells me I'm reading that wrong, I think that's what that says. The latent print preliminarily matches Routh. The photograph below shows the rifle. Okay, where was the tape? Did he even touch the rifle at all? Was it on, did he have fingerprints on this metal scope at all? When he was removing the cap from it, you know, anything here? This looks like it's all plastic. Might be hard to kind of fingerprint, but I mean, if he's all over the thing, you got one fingerprint on a piece of tape that's attached to the rifle? What on earth? And you got one witness who identifies him. Oh, that's the guy. Definitely. Hey, call it in. Yeah, just call it in. Ryan Routh is his name. Yeah, he's like 6'1", white guy, pretty thin. How do you know all this about him? I don't know. FBI agents, as part of this investigation, recently reviewed a book apparently authored by Routh in February. I can't even believe the fingerprint thing. You know, I don't read these things before so we can go through them together. Like, what the hell is this? This is crazy. What? Okay, that's great. Okay, you got a fingerprint on a piece of, on a tape and his cell phone? Okay, in the book, Routh, he wrote this book, Ukraine's Unwinnable War, The Fatal Flaw of Democracy, World Abandonment, and all this thing. In the book, Routh stated that he must take part of the blame for the person that we elected for our next president that ended up being brainless. But I am man enough to say that I misjudged and made a terrible mistake, and I apologize. You are free to eliminate Trump as well as me for that error in judgment and the dismantling of the deal. No one here in the U.S. seems to have the nuts to put natural selection to work or even unnatural selection. So this guy's, you know, ranting like a psycho. He might be a psycho, might not even be a real shooter, now that we know that he just had some tape attached to the rifle with his fingerprint on it. On September 18th, law enforcement was contacted by a civilian witness who stated that Routh had dropped off a box at his residence several months prior. After learning of this, of the incident, the witness opened the box. He's like, oh, I know that guy. The witness stated the box contained ammunition, a metal pipe, miscellaneous building tools, four phones, various letters, one handwritten letter addressed, quote, to the world, and stated, among other things, this was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump, but I failed you. I tried my best and gave it all the gumption I could muster in the letter. It's up to you to now finish the job, and I will offer $150,000 to whomever can complete the job. And I thought he had like no money. A camp box company where he made these little camp boxes, like it's a box that you camp in Hawaii. The witness took a photograph of the first page of the handwritten letter as shown below. And so is that the whole thing? To whomever can complete the job. So here's the letter. Dear world, this was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump, but I am so sorry I failed you. Well, we're not. I tried my best and gave it all the gumption I could muster. It is up to you to finish the job, and I will offer $150,000 to whomever can complete the job. Everyone across the globe, from the youngest to the oldest, know that Trump is unfit to be anything, much less a U.S. president. U.S. presidents must be at bare minimum embody the moral fabric that is America and be kind, caring, and selfless and always stand for humanity. Trump fails to understand any of ... Don't know where that goes. The letter goes on to state, he, the former president, ended relations with Iran like a child, and now the Middle East has unraveled. Yeah, that's Trump's fault. The Middle East unraveled. Things were pretty quiet when he was in charge. But on or about December 20th, so that's interesting, and they didn't give us a second photograph of the letter. On or about December 20th, Routh was convicted in Greensboro, possession of a weapon of mass destruction, binary explosive device, but the State Department let him come and go, and Customs and Border was fine with him traveling back and forth. And when Border flagged him and sent it over to Homeland, they didn't care. They said, whatever, let him in. Also, it's a Class F felonies. Class F felonies are punishable by 59 months incarceration. So on or about March 3rd, Routh was also convicted of multiple counts of possession of stolen goods, which is a Class H felony. Class H felonies usually have 39 months of incarceration, signed by U.S. Attorney Mark Dispoto. Now, yeah, in terms of detention documents, okay, they're going to want to keep this guy in custody because it's the Trump, it's an assassination attempt. He admits it's an assassination attempt. So if the guy's crazy, he'll have to go through some sort of competency hearings, right? There are competency hearing proceedings that happen. Generally, the way that it works, at least here in Arizona, is if somebody is insane, they see clinicians, psychiatrists, psychologists, some people the government contracts with. If they see two people and both people say that they're crazy, they go into rehabilitation or you dispose of the case, essentially. If they're competent, then the case goes back on and they're prosecuted as a totally competent person, like a regular criminal defendant would be. If there's a split, if one person says you're crazy, the other person says you're sane, and those are non-legal technical terms, then you see a third person, they split, they're the tiebreaker, and then you adjudicate it accordingly. But that might be the situation here if this guy's actually crazy. But this is an interesting one. I mean, his fingerprint is not even on the rifle. We found a latent fingerprint on a piece of tape attached to the rifle, not on the gun. Is it on the bullets? Did he load any of them into the magazine? It's crazy. And the only other person who puts him there, so it sounds like the cell phones don't put him there because the cell phones could put him anywhere. In that radius, they're going to triangulate it between the two different cell phone towers and try to pin him there at the golf course, but they wouldn't be able to get it within feet, I would imagine, to put him like in that shooting location. Then some other woman says he was running away. Doesn't seem like we have anything here from the Secret Service that has identified him by face, just shot at somebody and then saw that person running away. So we have a witness, a letter from a friend. Wonder if they'll find any fingerprints on that. This is a weird case. And the defense team is going to be responding to this saying, no, let him out. I don't think they'll let him out. But we'll see if they can cobble up more evidence other than just a sticky tape fingerprint and some random witness saying that that's the guy and giving a broken license plate number. Another Trump assassination attempt. Another TDS affiliated person, it seems, is in custody. And we're going to be here continuing to cover this, my friends. Thank you for subscribing. When there are more updates on this case, we'll have them here. And let's see what you say about all of this. Now, if you're just joining us, we covered 3 good segments. It's time to hear from you now, but we've got 3 good segments that we talked about. Trump filed a monster omnibus reply. We read through all 34 pages, and we covered a lot in that. But they're demanding an immediate dismissal of the case, as you saw here. Dismiss it! And it was a fun read. We also went through and saw that Jack Smith is going to be filing a disgusting 180-page book report if he's got permission from the judge to do that. Judge Chutkin got a response from Trump fresh out of the oven today in opposition to Jack Smith's motion, saying you don't need a book as a fake special counsel report from Jack Smith. So we saw that. And then we also went through the Routh case and saw that apparently they don't even have any real evidence other than a fingerprint that was attached to the weapon and some other witness who saw him. There will be more evidence, I'm sure, but it seems pretty weak at the moment. But now, my friends, it's time to hear from you. Let's see what you have to say about this. I see we have some great donos, some great support, some amazing love, and we've got our mods in the house. We're back on Telegram. We're back working. Things are working again. And hey, look at these. We had some great comments. Glocky, hey, we're back at our regular shop now. So we had for those of you who are wondering where the heck we were upstairs in the dining room. Now we're back downstairs in the studio. We had a water main break and the water has been fixed and we're getting things back in order and situated. And this morning on our members only stream, we had a little bit of a weird audio situation, but I solved it. by jangling the cords back there. In case you're wondering how you can fix your own issues, that's how we did it here. Hey, what's going on? Donut Mind Me is clipping for us. Thank you, Donut. It's good to see you again. Says, new Monday, new week, new hope. It's always great to have a fresh new week ahead of us. And thank you, Donut, for clipping that. Hey, Sheila Poo, a million hugs to you. Welcome to our new Membo friends coming in. We got Sheila Poo's bringing in Greg McNeely. What's up, Kat? Paul Mino is coming in. Angel Hunter Wolf and Red Blooded in the house. Gifted Membos courtesy of Sheila. Thank you, Sheila. And Jack Mack is here. 5 more Membos coming in courtesy of Jack. And new Membos, grab that stream from this morning. We had a fun stream this morning because we went over the 2024 polls. And the Democrats are in a little bit of a freak-out mode right now. And it's a lot of fun to watch. So we talked about that this morning. Jonah Fresio, Love USA, Passamaquoddy in the house. Salty Old Guy, gifted Membos, courtesy of Jack Mack. Thank you, Jack Mack. Appreciate that. You're amazing. And Red Blooded, what's up? 10 Membos from Red Blooded. Thank you, Red Blooded. Look at this. We got Freak is here. Joe L. M. Miller. Nunya Bitness is here. B. Torn. Lao Zu. Linda G. Ralph L. Tech Zombie. And HD in the house. Gifted Membos, courtesy of Red Blooded, who is a Membo. Bringing in 10 more Membos. Thank you, Red Blooded. We got Sheila Poo bringing in JD. That's not JD Vance, is it? That'd be cool. Hey, Tony Hey Munkets is bringing in 5 more Membos. Giovanni, Avana, Alvino in the house. Welcome. Jim Eagle, John Dalzell, Safari Lover Girl, and Sean Weekly, gifted Membos, courtesy of Tony Hey Munkets. Thank you, Tony Hey. We got so many Membos coming in. Oh my goodness, look at this. James Butler, what's up, James? James is bringing in 10 Membos too. Pyramid 7, Fonzie, Mr. Null, John Mivek, Anthony Muma, Greg Silverado, Lisa Eder, Just Mike, Eagle 80, and Dog Backwards. Gifted Membos, courtesy of James. And new Membos, welcome. Hey, Poppy, 10 more Membos coming in, courtesy of Poppy. This is amazing. Poppy, thank you. We got Jake Dalton is here. Shadow Wings. AB is in the house. North Star. Jadi. Spiral. Goose Toots. First Shot. Father Marin. And Kathy Bloom. Gifted Membos. And all of our new members, we're going to have a nice lit stream tomorrow morning, too. Our member stream tomorrow is just going to be popping, baby. What's up? Sheila is bringing in 5 more Membos. Thank you, Sheila. WVU Mountaineer Lair with Kenny in the house. Dan is here. Nutter Brother. Triphouse Rez, and Dark Insider in the house, courtesy of Sheila Poo. Tony Hey Munkets with 5 more. Thank you, Tony. Another Slave is here. Europa Empire of Roma. Adam K. Ryan Urbanowicz is here. And Charles Fritz, gifted Membos, courtesy of Tony Hey Munkets. James Grant. What's up, James? Bringing in 10 Membos. Thank you, James, for being a Membo, bringing in the Membos. We got Brenda Sellers is here. Clinton Griffin, Ellie Summer, Falconhoof, Warren Moffat, NH Mountains, Marco Kungala, Imprimis, Jay's Missing, and Ducky Bestis. Gifted Membos, courtesy of James. James Grant in the house. Thank you, James, for bringing the 10 Membos in. We got Michelle Perkins, 6 months as a Membo, 2/3 of the way to a baby, 1/3 to go. What's up, Michelle? 6-month Membo today. We're glad to have you for 6 months. Think about how far we've come in 6 months. Another 6-monther from Just Rhonda. What's up, Just Rhonda? 6 months says, I just want voting to return to the way it used to be. Yeah, there's a lot of that going on right now. I saw one of the memes of Britney Spears. It's like what I thought America used to be, and it's Britney Spears in like her high school photo, like, smiling and happy. And then it's like what America is now, and it's Britney Spears on her Instagram. Things have changed a lot. Not for the better. Someone help Britney. James Roberts, what's up, James? Good to see you, James. Thanks for sending in a nice dono. We got this one from Joan Kelly. 10 months as a Membo, that's a baby +1, Joan. So good to see you. Would you look at that? 10 months. We're working our way to the 1-year anniversary, Joan. Thank you for that one. Great to have you here. We got this one from Voice of the People. Says, has anyone ever noticed that every time Kamala says the word people, she pauses? Almost like she wants to call everyone something else and stops mid-sentence. Yeah. Like when you start to say, you people are some of the most people I've ever known. You start to wonder, like, what are you going to say? What's coming after that? What do you mean, you people? Hey, what's up, S? Been a Membo for 4 months, almost halfway to a baby. John Edwards is at 7. That's about to pop, John. About to pop over here. Thank you for that one. And James Butler says, if Taylor Swift lived in Springfield with Haitian neighbors, she'd be a catless child lady. But she might be. You never know. Hey, Michael Allen Hughes says, I'm in Athens, Greece. It's only getting crazier. I feel like Greece has kind of been in a perpetual state of craziness for like a decade. So it's getting crazier. Interesting. Yeah. I think a lot is over there. I see a lot of sad videos over there. People walking around like Rome and like there's crap all over these beautiful things. I'm like, that's just terrible. I've been to Rome. And it's like a horrible thing to see. Rob White. What's up, Rob White? Happy 1 year anniversary. He says these people are crazy. They're going to get President Trump's eliminated. Well, the Secret Service seems like they're also participating in that. Certainly. What's going on? Rob White here says, what is the statute that allowed the U.S. attorney the ability to appoint? That is a really old post, actually. Are these old? Those were old posts? I don't know if those were old or not. Anyways, here we are. We've got Libby T. Were they going through a bunch of old posts? I don't think so. Were those old? I don't know. Anyways, what's up? Libby T is in the house. Libby, Ryan Hogan is here. Lori McDonald is in the house. We've got Jake is here. Dorothy D is coming in. Libby T is in the house. Gifted membos, courtesy of Libby the Champ in the house. Hey, what's up? Mizzy M says your research is always appreciated. Thank you, Mizzy M. Well, we like to go through these motions together, so I'm glad that you appreciate it. And well, because I appreciate going through them with you, is my point. Knox is here, says, happy Monday, all. This is Ruth's wife. She contracted with the federal government for the COVID response. There's a red flag there. Yeah, that's interesting. So K.A. Schaefer on LinkedIn. Interesting. Hey, Libby T says, love your show. 2 months as a membo. Thank you, Libby T. Amazing to see you. Love that you're here as a membo. Really appreciate you being here. This one came in from Buffalo Betsy. Thank you, Buffalo Betsy. Melting into the ground like we often feel when we're listening to disgusting corruption. Hey, CF Rob says, hey, water main break. Are you in Georgia? Oh, no, Arizona. They called the race for Biden. Needed to have a good laugh. Hopefully those will be fixed this time. Trump 2024. Yeah, we did have a water main break. We might have had somebody in the tubes. I don't know what happened, but we did. It broke. They got it fixed real quickly, man. It's like 2 weeks. Great crew. In and out. We're back in the studio. Good to see you, Rob. Hey, Florida Mom is here. What's up, Florida Mom? Thank you for becoming a supporter. Amazing. We'll see you tomorrow on the members only stream. Great to have you here. And I think from Florida Mom, let's see where else we started. This is the one from today. Buffalo Betsy's here. Here's today's. Risa Walker became a supporter. Sheila Pooh brought in Bill Carson, Dan DeFlavis, LCVB, GM, and Thomas McClevey all in the house. Sheila Pooh, thank you, Sheila Pooh. Reminding everybody, hit that like button if you got it. We got less than 300 likes and 3,000 in the chat. It'd be awesome if you hit that. We'd love you if you did that. We love you anyways, but a little extra like love, you know. Hey, what's up, Michael Allen Hughes? 19 months as a membo, Michael Allen. I'm in Barcelona, and folks are hoping Trump will win. Yeah, I've talked to some people overseas, too. Talking to some friends and some people overseas. They're saying the same thing. You guys have to vote for Trump, right? Yeah, I know. Tell me about it, bro. Like, I know. Tell me. Ollie says, hey, what's up? 5 membos are coming in. Thank you, Ollie. We got Matthew is here. Denton Dixon. We got Taylor N. We got Blue Crow coming in the house. Very nice to see everybody. Thank you, Gundam. Exia in the house. And Red Phoenix is saying, hey, hit that like button, baby. You got Sheila. You got Red Phoenix in the house with the nice reminders. Thank you, Red Phoenix. Horatio. What's up, Horatio Spinelli? Says, do you know anything about international law? Let's find out. Oh, please. After Trump wins, cover UN ICG case 192. Please, everything we are told is lies about it, and you're so good at disseminating legal documents. Love you. I love you back, Horatio. Thanks for that. All right, interesting. UN ICJ case 192. I have not even heard of it, but it sounds like an interesting one for sure. Thanks for that one. Hey, look at this quote. Hey, Scuba B on Local says, Dr. Gundry's awesome. My brother-in-law had diabetes for 10 years. I read his book, followed his diet, used his supplements. We reversed his diabetes in only 3 months. Oh my gosh. Not only that, but at 76 years old, he's been able to get rid of all of other medications, including blood pressure and cholesterol. He has been diabetes and medication free for over 5 years now. That's amazing. Scuba Babe. Your brother-in-law. I mean, I love those stories. Gundry's olive oil is amazing, but all of his supplements and diet advice has been a lifesaver for my whole family. That's really, thank you for sharing that. That's Scuba Babe. She's been a membo on locals for over a year. What a great endorsement. My gosh. Thank you for that. Yeah, and I love stuff like that. I think that you never know what the right, in one of my networking groups, they call it the first domino. Like, what is going to be the first domino in your life that just starts that sequence? And, you never know who it's going to be, which is why I encourage a lot of people to try a lot of things. But this is a good endorsement for that. It's like to think about somebody living so right now, I'm kind of going through that with a back pain. We talked about this morning on our members only stream on locals. And I just had a great talk today with a doctor, or not a doctor, actually. He's not a doctor at all. His name is Steve Ozamich. And he wrote a book called The Great Pain Deception. I just spent 2 hours with him. And he kind of told me a bunch of stuff that I knew, but I needed to hear it, one of those. And I think he's going to be the first domino in a sequence of healing my back pain, which is going to be just great. So I totally can relate to this. It's like, all right, what's the first sequence? And I love that. Thank you, Scuba Babe. And they sponsored today's episode. So shout out to Dr. Gundry. Hey, what's up? Philip Butler says, can Trump appeal before the document is released? Well, if she wants it released Thursday, like Trump is opposing it right now. We'll see what she says. If she denies it, then it might hit the docket before the appeal comes back. Okay, so like she denies it. Jack Smith files his reply on the opening brief tomorrow. Judge Chutkan denies it on Wednesday. And then the doc's released on Thursday. There's really no time to appeal that. So we're short on time. That's the problem. Like once it hits the docket, then it kind of hits. It's about the public exposure more than the legalities, which I think are going to sort themselves out anyways. But it's a great comment. What's up, Philip B? Hey, Eddie Block. Eddie Block in the house says, thanks everyone for the kind words on my dad's birthday. Yes, Rob, those were now and laters. I love now and laters. Those are great. When he died, I was 6 and put some on his grave. I left him some of those and Crown Royal salted caramel on Thursday. Man, peace to you, Eddie, and peace to your father and your family. Happy birthday to your father. May he rest in peace. Now and laters is a very nice gesture and a delicious candy. I might say so if I can say so myself. Thanks, Eddie. Hope you're well, brother. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the nice dono and for being a membo. And I did get your email the other day. So thanks for that. We got this one from Gloria. What's up, Gloria? Gloria in the house. Bringing in 5 new... Are those the Three Stooges? Or are they singing Gloria, Gloria there? I don't know what that is, but I remember the Three Stooges. Yeah, they were pretty funny. Hey, Gloria B. Bringing in Donna Greathouse. What's up, Donna? Donna Greathouse, good to see you. Glad to have you as a membo. Thank you, Gloria B, for bringing them in. Ryan Hartman just became a supporter. Richard Hartman, good to see you, Richard. We'll see you on the member stream tomorrow morning. Bezzy is here, says globe-trotting recruiting soldiers, 150,000 bounty, anyone who finishes the job, in quotes. They killed the last guy. This one gets caught easily and they release a letter. Feels like they just put a hit out. Yeah. Well, we'll see if his security cameras break down, his guards fall asleep, and he also falls on his neck and breaks multiple bones in his neck. We'll see if that happens. Hey, Cynthia Mulholland in the house. What's up, Membo, for 6 months? Thank you for that, Cynthia. We are 2/3 of the way to a baby, almost there. And Florida Mom just became a supporter. Florida Mom 64 in the house. It's great to have you as a supporter. And Pinochet's helicopter tours in the house. It's good to see Pinochet's back. Says when a paraffin test was performed on Lee Harvey Oswald, they found he had no traces of powder on him whatsoever. His prints touched the rifle. Dallas PD snuck into the morgue to rig the palm print. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Very interesting indeed. What's going on? Spuds is here. Says, okay, who wore it better? Rob or me? Sorry, it's a Hoffman's hot dog. Lady Ice will get the reference. Hoffman's hot dog. Well, you look handsome as hell. I mean, nothing's going to beat Nathan's hot dog. I don't know what that hot dog is. The Nathan's hot dog's right over there. And that came over from Tremendous, over from Locals. Super fun. Yeah, here it is. It's kind of a Nathan's hot dog. You look good. You look fabulous, Spuds. You look great. Yeah, it looks good. It looks good. Everybody can get a Nathan's hot dog for their heads. Or don't. Yeah, don't. Hey, what's going on? Catherine Rex says, I've been down lately. Catherine, I'm sorry to hear that. But your show brings me happiness. You know, there are waves in life. Everything comes and goes. I have it too sometimes. There are moments of ups and downs. And I've been talking to people. I think there's a lot happening energetically around the world right now. It's election season. There's up energy, dark energy, light energy, down energy. There's astrological stuff going on right now. There's a lot happening, but it comes in waves, and our perception in many ways is our reality. And so I'm glad that you're finding happiness here, and I hope that it continues to spread. Thank you, Catherine, for that. Thanks for being a member for 4 months. Hey, what's up? We got one baby in the house. This one is from, that's 4 babies. That's a lot of babies. Hey, just Dawn, 2 full babies in the house. And it's good to see you, Just Dawn. Bembo for 18 months. Yeah, that's a long time. That's 2 babies. Says, always look forward to my Govea 2-a-days. Yeah, I like hanging with you guys twice a day, in the mornings and in the evenings. That way we get to know exactly what's going on. Thank you, Just Dawn, for supporting us for so long. 2 full terms. That's a long time. Hey, former LEO says, when I first started voting, you signed in and it was a tall 7-foot metal machine. You walked in the opening, grabbed the handle, pulled, closing the curtain, opening the list of candidates on the wall. I believe that you slid a toggle that punched the hole in the ballot. When done, you grabbed the handle again, slid it. The ballot was the cardboard, disappeared, and the curtain opened. It certainly seemed secure. Well, now it goes into this big black box programmed by Lord knows who that has all sorts of problems in it, admitted by Amy Berman Jackson, the Georgia judge. It's a disaster everywhere, and it's designed that way. It's a black box, so you can't figure out what is actually happening inside of it. It just spits out a result, and we all say, yay, democracy. Hey, Kelly Selnow, what's up? Says, hi, watchers. Hello, Kelly. It's great to have you here. Thanks for the dono. We have this one from Rob says, Rob on Rumble says, how was a letter saying he failed was found in the car that fast? It wasn't in the car. It was in the neighbor's. It was a friend's house. He penned it while he was driving, and he's offering a reward. Sounds like a fake letter that was planted. Yeah, it could definitely be that. Yeah, it could be. Who knows? Maybe they affixed a tape with some fingerprints to the letter too. It's his letter. Oh, how do you know? It's got some tape on it. Okay, that's great. What else you got for us? Hey, Jay Liebgott, 17 months as a membo. And Jay, you're right about this. Almost 2 full babies. Whew, it's a long time. It's a long time. You think about that. It's like 2 terms, like 2 babies, man. Whew, it's a long time, Jay. Really glad to have you here, man. Thank you for that. Thanks for supporting us. Thanks for being here, being part of the fun. We've got, I see Jack Mack just sent in some membos. What's up, Jack? So we're going to welcome them here in a quick second. Let's say what's up to our friends on X before we go over to Locals and to Telegram. So all of our new YouTube membos, you can join us on Telegram. So if you navigate over to the community tab section, scroll down, you get the private members only Telegram link. That's where we're going in a few minutes. We like to hang out, do a little bit of an after party, say what's up, see what you guys thought about the show, and have some fun conversation. But here, this is a great meme. Okay, Paul Mino got gifted a membo, I think some time ago, but Paul Mino is back in the house, and he's memeing it up for us. Here is one meme extraordinaire. You can see this is the Puppet Master explaining the simple truth to Jack that you're not a real boy. But I want to be a real boy. But you're not. Get out of my workshop. That's real. That's what really happened in Florida. Hey, what's up? B. Torn says, some questions that need to be asked about the Routh case. Is there any video from the street cams nearby businesses before or after he was discovered? Good question. That's how they found the Oklahoma guy. Was he wearing a pink shirt when the Secret Service agent engaged with him that he was later arrested in? And why hasn't Ron Rowe resigned yet? Yeah, that's a good question. Ronald Rutrow. Fred Pedamonte says the piece of tape they're talking about is right below the serial number. Oh, is it? Let's pull that back up. Where did that go? Here it is. So that piece of tape is right below the serial number. You saw it? I did not see it. Where would it be on this item? I was thinking this was the chart off serial number. No. This is just a marker. Is this the chart off serial number? Where's the tape at? I can't find the tape. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting. Okay, so I don't know where the tape was. Maybe I just missed it. But what's up? Right to Think is in the house. Hey, Betamax says, watching on YouTube, been a member there for over a year. Hey, that's awesome. Thank you. Says, can't recommend Rob's content enough. Thank you, Betamax. That's awesome. Forward Thinker says, hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more. No. Yeah, it's a great one. Brandy says, hey, Rob, great show. Says it looks like electrical tape maybe wrapped around the scope. He probably put that tape on it at a different time and wore gloves for the shooting. Electrical tape going around the scope to the rifle. Okay, I see. So maybe it's something that he affixed and then he was using the gloves. That's some logical thinking there. Let's see. Let's zoom in on the scope because we definitely had that pulled up. Let me pull that up. Here you go. So is the tape this? So it doesn't look like there's anything over on this end. No tape over here. We see some tape here. Is that the tape they're talking about around the scope? But that's kind of not what it said, right? It said like a latent fingerprint on a piece of tape attached to the rifle. To me, that reads like someone took a piece of Scotch tape and attached it to the rifle. Is that how that reads to you? On a piece of tape attached to the rifle. Not like, that does not match that to me. That's like something's wrapping the scope. Is that tape there? I don't see any other. I'm looking for like an errant, like a piece of tape like this. Something. Where, oh, where could the little tape be? Oh, where could it be? I do not see it. All right. So somebody out there with sharper eyes, no doubt, will find it for us. But yeah, interesting. Okay. Electrical tape. Here's one. That's okay. That's an interesting one. And Darby Shaw is in the house. Yeah, Trump is in the house. We got some other comments over there. All right. So, my friends, that is what we have over on X. Now, of course, we're very grateful for all of everybody who joins us. We also got some new membos coming in, courtesy of Jack Mack. What's up, Jack? Josh Powell is in the house. James Pepper's coming in. Kelly Sell now in the house. What's up, T. Surrett and Omnigma? Gifted membos, courtesy of Jack Mack. Great to see you, Jack. And welcome aboard, new friends. Leona says, sending love from Alberta. Stay strong, America. Thank you, Leona. We'll take every bit of it. Thanks for sending some good love and energy our way. Hopefully it inspires many Americans to do the right thing here this election. Leona, good to have you. 17 months as a member. That's almost 2 full babies. And we're really glad to have you. Thanks for being here, Leona. Okay, so my friends, that is going to be it for us on the day. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching with us. If you're just joining us, we had a bunch of great stuff at the start of the stream, so make sure you're checking that out. We are going to go over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com, and we're going to hang out. We're going to debrief. We're going to do a members-only after party and hang out over there. We would love to see you if you come over there and join us. It's going to be a ton of fun. YouTube membos, grab the Telegram link. We'll see you on Telegram. And of course, back here for the members only stream in the morning, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. If you want to join us, we'd love to have you join us. But that is going to be it for us on the day, my friends. I want to thank you for joining us. We are coming back here tomorrow to get into it all again. And in order to do that, we're going to need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night, my friends. Sleep very well. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.